Hello. It's good to see you. We are back to read some more. I have a bruise here. I had a dental procedure and my face is still bruised. That's what that is. And my neighbor apparently is going to mow forever. My neighbor's been out there mowing now. His yard is the size of a postage stamp. He's now been out there over an hour. I think he's just going to mow for the rest of his life. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. We are on chapter 100. I have sat here for a significant period of time waiting for him to finish, and he's just never going to finish. Have you ever had that feeling with a man? Anyway, we're at chapter 100. Ha! Aiden went out for a chat with Denali and came back with a rock. I thought at first that maybe it had some sort of cosmic importance, but it turns out he just picked it up in the yard. That's one from up in the mountains, I said. We don't have any like that around here. It's probably one I brought home from somewhere, but I don't know how it ended up in the yard. He set the rock on the coffee table and sat down next to me on the couch. What did Denali come here to talk about, or is that private? I asked. Did he find out anything about the weird stuff going on? He's been busy with his own work and hasn't had time to do much investigating. So he came here to tell you he doesn't know anything? Aiden stood up suddenly and headed back toward the kitchen. Yeah, pretty much, he said over his shoulder. That's weird. I have to say that things have calmed down. Wouldn't you say they have? I mean, aside from the thing with Jerry and the homeless guy. I heard him frittering around in the kitchen. He didn't answer me, but something told me to let it go, so I did. I was just finishing up my hot chocolate when he came back into the living room. Let's go out, he said. Are you up for it? He took my mug. But I looked at the clock. Why does it feel so late? It's that time of the year, Aiden said. It gets dark early, so it feels later than it actually is. How about it? Do you have some place in particular in mind? I kind of feel like you do. And why all of a sudden do you want to go somewhere? He took me by the hand and I stood up. We'd be killing two birds with one stone, he said. I need to stop in and check on Jerry, and then I want to take you somewhere. Where? His eyes were shining. It's not too far away. You're not going to tell me, are you? He shook his head. Can we get some dinner first? Chapter 101. It was Christmas Eve night, so dining options were limited. They chose a Chinese buffet for dinner and had to wait in the lobby until a table was available. I can't believe how crowded this place is, Liddy said. Aiden didn't respond, and she looked over at him. Are you okay? He took her hand and looked straight ahead at the hostess stand. A small plastic cat was smiling and waving at him. I was sure we'd have more time, he said. What do you mean? We have all the time we want to have. I can come see you whenever I want, he said with a bit of irritation in his voice. I love that, and I appreciate the fact that you'd allow it. Of course I would. Why wouldn't I? I really am like the people I make deals with, he said, turning to her with a smile. I want to have my cake and eat it too. Aiden, you're getting weird on me. What are you talking about? I don't want to visit just when I can. This isn't how things were supposed to go. We were supposed to have a couple of years at least. We who? You and me? A couple of years of what? I was expecting to work with Jerry longer than this, he said. He's an easy one. People like him don't cause trouble usually. He sighed. This is unbelievably frustrating. Maybe this isn't the best time to point it out, Liddy said, but you were 100% absent from my life for the last 13 years. Nothing was stopping you from coming to see me then, so why are you so bothered by it now? The hostess called for Gervais, and she took Aiden and Liddy back to a table. They put their coats on their chairs and walked toward the buffet. You weren't too happy with me back then, Aiden said as they walked. I figured you needed some time to yourself. I understand wanting to back off for a while, but 13 years? Come on. I was busy. Besides, you needed time to get back to your normal life after leaving the church. Liddy filled her plate with egg rolls and Jell-O, and Aiden went with the salad. He looked at her plate and laughed a little. "Don't judge me," she said as they walked back to the table. "I like what I like. The only time I ever get Jell-O is at places like this, and when I go to the K&W cafeteria with Grandpa and, well, just Grandpa now. You could make it at home." "Nah, having to make it myself takes all the enjoyment out of it." "And why did you get a salad? You don't even actually eat anything. What the hell's the point?" Aiden just smiled and shook his head. They ate in silence for several minutes. Aiden watched Liddy try to scoop up a Jell-O square with her spoon for a moment before giving up and eating it with her fingers. She looked up and caught him watching. "I imagine this is how Mary and Joseph spent Christmas Eve night in the stable," she said. Aiden laughed. "Think about it. Mary's in labor. She's got another weird craving, so she sends Joseph out to find some Jell-O. 'Where the hell am I supposed to find Jell-O at this time of the night?' he says. 'I'm delivering our Lord and Savior. The least you could do is give me some freaking Jell-O.'" "I'm pretty sure Jell-O didn't exist back then," Aiden said. "Well, yeah, Jesus wasn't there to invent it. Poor Mary, giving birth in a stable and no Jell-O." "You have a weird sense of humor," Aiden said. "I love it." "So where are we going? Are we doing whatever it is before we go to Jerry's place or after? Is he at home?" "I thought we could go by his apartment first just to get it out of the way. You don't have to go up there if you don't want to. You could just wait in the lobby." "No, it's okay. I'll go out of sheer morbid curiosity if nothing else. We'll make it quick." Liddy went back to the buffet and returned with a cupcake, some tiny marshmallows, a spring roll, and some cheese. "Honestly," Aiden said, looking at her plate, "is this how you always eat?" "You're not allowed to criticize people's eating habits on Christmas Eve," she said. "It's against the law. Speaking of Christmas, what do you want for a present?" He took a slice of her cheese and ate it. "I just want you to go with me somewhere tonight. That would be more than enough. How about you? What would you like?" I don't know. That question gets harder to answer every year. Some peace and quiet, I guess." "Don't you already have that most of the time?" "I guess so." "Okay, more peace and quiet then." She thought about it for a minute, then said, "And a regular day with you. A day where nobody gets beat up and no tables melt. No crazy stuff." That's a pretty tall order. We've had a few of those days that I'd call normal, but there's always this looming threat, like this feeling that it could be turned upside down at any moment. "Waiting for the other shoe to drop," Aiden said. "Exactly. Because of what you are and what you do, your job, there's no way to relax and know that everything's okay." "I'm afraid I can't do much about that." "I know. I guess I'll take what I can get." They finished up their meal and headed out to Aiden's car. "If nothing else," Liddy said, "it's been entertaining." Aiden laughed. "Well, I can put on a good show." Chapter 102. We normally parked in front of Jerry's building if we were just popping in for a short visit, but they had all their parking meters covered up and valets parking people's cars. "Is he having a party or something?" I asked as we approached the line of cars waiting to be parked. "Maybe somebody else in the building is doing something. I'm not dressed for anything fancy if it's Jerry." Aiden leaned forward in the driver's seat to look up at the top of the building at Jerry's apartment. "It's Jerry," he said. "How we're dressed won't matter. We're not staying. I just want to check in on him." We finally got to leave the car with the valet, but then we had to wait in line just to get on the elevator. Everybody else was dressed up like they were going to the prom. I felt super awkward. "We're going to look stupid in there," I whispered to Aiden while we waited. "It's okay," he said, and he gave my hand a squeeze. "You're still the most beautiful woman here." "Oh, stop. You know you are." He managed to get an elevator for us. I don't know what magic is behind it, but nobody got on with us. "Maybe I smell bad," I joked. Aiden just smiled and watched the numbers tick up as we approached the penthouse. We heard the music first. It was a thumping bass. Most of Jerry's parties were quiet and subdued, kind of stuffy, so that surprised me. Then we heard the people. It was hard to make out what they were doing. Shouting, maybe singing. The elevator reached the top and the doors opened. I don't know about Aiden, but I wasn't ready for what I saw when I stepped out. I felt like we'd walked off the earth right into hell. It was noisy, dark, smoky, and crowded. I don't know what being in hell feels like, but it couldn't possibly be much worse. Everybody was dressed up, but their hair was a sweaty mess, and most of them looked like they'd spilled either a drink or some food on their clothes somewhere. Post-apocalyptic chic is how I'd describe it. "Stay with me," Aiden said into my ear. I finally got a good look at the wrestling ring once we got past the big group of people clumped up around the elevator doors. It was massive, and it was decorated for Christmas. That's a nice touch, I thought. And then I saw the two guys in the ring. Aiden and I stood there and watched them for a few minutes. I think he was as confused as I was. One of the guys had a bunch of chains hanging around his neck. Big chains. Not necklaces, but chains like you'd use for work. Some of the chains had padlocks on the ends. They dragged on the floor of the ring when he bent down a bit. His face was painted gray, and he was growling at the other man like an animal. The crowd was screaming and cheering and throwing money in the ring. The other guy just had this black metal bucket thing. He was waving it around and yelling, "Come on, come on!" The first guy grabbed the end of one of the chains and started swinging it. He stood there like he had all day, and then boom, he had that chain wrapped around the other guy's neck. He squeezed it tight and got the guy down on the ground. The other guy's face turned red, and you could see this big vein in his forehead. He looked scared. He still had a hold of his bucket, but he acted like he didn't know what to do. The crowd was so crazy that I thought they were going to tear the place apart. It was like a bad car wreck, but I couldn't look away. Chain guy grabbed the bucket and started bashing the other guy in the head with it, and that's when Aiden decided we'd seen enough. He pulled me away from there, and just as we turned, we came face to face with Jerry. "Surprise!" he yelled when he saw us. "Look at this, Aiden! Look how much better everything is here!" He spun around and gestured with his arms up high. "Can we go somewhere quiet?" Aiden said in a strained, loud voice like he was trying not to shout. "You're missing it," Jerry yelled, and he pointed at the wrestling ring. I think he said, "Look at 4," but I couldn't really hear him over the crowd. How is this a Christmas party? I wondered. Aiden and I turned to see what was happening. Chain Guy still had the other one pinned, and finally, some lady in a Santa Claus bikini climbed into the ring, slapped the floor 3 times, and declared the Chain Guy the winner. He turned his back to us, and that's when I realized he had a giant number 4 on his back. I guess that's what Jerry meant when he said, "Look at 4." I don't know. I was struggling to make any sense of it. Everything felt like a bad dream. Jerry went over to congratulate the winner, and I have no idea what happened to the other guy. He just vanished as far as I could tell. Aiden followed Jerry, bringing me along because he still had a grip on my hand, and kept bugging him about going somewhere quiet to talk. Jerry finally agreed, and we went off down the hall toward all the bedrooms. Several of them were occupied, but we finally found an empty one, so we went in the bedroom and closed the door. Jerry didn't wait for Aiden to speak. "So you came to check up on me, huh? Thought maybe I was up here dying without your help? What do you think now?" "I think you very nearly did die just a few days ago," Aiden said, "and this party is your way of coping with that." "I'm not coping, I'm living." We heard a knock at the door. It was a tall lady with long, dark red hair. She looked really familiar, but I don't know where I'd seen her before. "Hi, Liddy. Can you come with me for a minute? I have something I think might belong to you." I looked at Aiden. "I'll see you in a minute," he said. "Just don't leave the apartment." She walked me out of the bedroom and closed the door behind us. "I'm Fedra," she said. "You ever thought about being up on stage?" Chapter 103. Fedra took Liddy by the hand. "What do you mean?" Liddy asked. "I mean, have you ever thought about performing for an audience?" She held on to Liddy's hand and started walking, leading her through the crowd. "No." Liddy stopped and tried to pull away, but Fedra wouldn't let go. She gripped Liddy's hand even tighter and turned to face her. "Look at me," Fedra said. "Do as I say." Liddy nodded, and she tried to answer, but she was unable to speak. She looked around at all the chaos like she was watching a movie. Someone was trying to wipe blood off the wrestling ring floor. Fedra told them to leave the area, and they did. She pulled Liddy up into the ring and stood facing her. "You're definitely not dressed for this," she said, giving a disapproving look to Liddy's sweater and jeans. People turned their attention to the ring as Fedra grabbed the microphone and said, "Somebody's not in the Christmas spirit. Looks like we got ourselves an Ebenezer Scrooge, y'all." She pointed at Liddy and laughed, and the crowd started laughing too. One of the pure platinum ladies threw a sock filled with coins into the ring, and Fedra picked it up. "Your weapon of choice," she said, swinging the sock around. "My choice." Liddy continued to stand there as if she'd been drugged. Her shoulders slumped a bit. She stared at the swinging sock like she was hypnotized. Fedra looked out at the crowd, her face contorted in exaggerated sadness. "Our outfits aren't giving anybody that special Christmas spirit, are they? Let's see what we can do about that." She set the sock and microphone down and placed her hands on Liddy's head for a moment, and then ran them quickly down her entire body to the floor. Everyone saw the clothes change as her hands moved, and they gasped. Fedra stepped back and revealed Liddy's new outfit. She was dressed as a barmaid, wearing a short dress, stockings, and square-toed shoes with silver buckles on top. Fedra picked the microphone up. "How's that?" she asked, and the crowd cheered. "I could have dressed her like old Scrooge, but I thought you'd like this better. She's a little long in the tooth for that dress, but we'll just go with it." Liddy continued standing still, saying nothing. Fedra looked all the way around, set the microphone back down, and flung both of her arms down and back. In a brilliant flash of light, her clothes were transformed into a ghost's costume with a long white gown. She held her left hand up, and the microphone levitated up to it. She grabbed the microphone, and the crowd cheered, looking on in amazement at the ghost in the ring. Liddy stared at her and tried to say something, but nothing came out of her mouth. Fedra moved in closer and put her ear next to Liddy's mouth. "Say that again?" "Oh, she's saying that my arms are a little bit see-through." She held her arm up for the crowd to see. "Huh, look at that. I guess they are. That makes sense, though, since I'm supposed to be a ghost. The ghost of Christmas past." She turned to face Liddy, just inches away from her. "I'm the ghost of your past," she said, and she backed away with a flourish. "Let's do this," she shouted into the microphone. She threw the sock full of coins over to Liddy. Liddy grabbed at it but missed, and it fell and skidded a little on the ring before coming to a stop. "Pick it up," Fedra said. Liddy knelt down slowly and picked the sock up. "Okay, now try to hit me with it." Liddy lunged forward and swung the sock, but just before it made contact, Fedra floated straight up and hovered there. "Missed me!" Everybody was going crazy. People were convinced that Fedra was hooked up to wires, and they strained to see them, but there were no wires or other means of support to be found. She glided back down slowly and walked around to Liddy's left. "Come on, get me!" Liddy chased her around the ring a full 2 times, with Fedra laughing as she ran. Fedra stopped abruptly, and Liddy winced, unable to stop in time and fully expecting to crash into her, yet she passed right through her body and fell face forward on the floor just beyond it. The crowd fell silent except for a few gasps. People were truly dumbfounded. Four, standing close by, put his fingers up to his mouth and blew an ear-piercing whistle. "Atta girl," he cried. "Kick her ass!" Fedra grabbed the sock as Liddy was getting up. She swung it back and then brought it around and hit Liddy hard in the back with it. The people in the room seemed to feel the sock full of coins when it made impact. The only one cheering at this point was Four. "Don't do her like that," a man in the crowd called out. Liddy was still struggling to get up. Fedra grabbed her hair and yanked her up. Liddy reached back, her hands and arms flailing, trying to get Fedra to let go of her hair, and then Fedra let go. "You're a bitch," a woman yelled. "No," Fedra said, pointing at Liddy. "She's the bitch." Aiden and Jerry, back in the bedroom, were not aware of the spectacle in the wrestling ring. Fedra made sure of that. Their conversation carried on. "You say you're living," Aiden said, staring hard at Jerry. "But living as what? What do you call this chaotic nightmare?" Jerry lit a cigar and puffed on it. "I call it heaven," he said. Aiden huffed and walked a few steps away. "Heaven? That's disgusting. You have no idea what heaven is if you think this is... I don't even know why I'm talking to you." "Well, you came here for something. I'll be damned if I know what. I'd really like to get back out there if we're done here." "What is Project Overseer?" Aiden asked. "How do you know about that? I saw you on the news." "Oh, right. Yeah, everybody saw it. That was pretty cool, huh?" "You never got me on the news." "I saved your life and allowed you to have a cause to champion, so indirectly I did get you on the news." "Whatever. Look, you can go. Project Overseer is my thing, so you don't need to know anything about it. I'm fine. Better than fine. This place is packed and everybody's enjoying their night. I know you were hoping to come up here and see me all depressed and crying, but I'm better than I've ever been. I got the life that people dream about, so you could take your little girlfriend and get the hell out of here." "Is this Justice who's doing all this? Your whatever she is to you?" "She's my girlfriend, yeah. Yeah, she came in here and she fixed everything. She's awesome. Well, we don't need you, so..." Jerry opened the bedroom door and nodded. "After you." Aiden walked out of the bedroom and surveyed the edge of the crowd. He couldn't see what was going on in the ring yet. He turned and looked back at Jerry, who was a few steps behind. "All these people," Aiden said, "and not one friend." Jerry scoffed. "Are you kidding? I got tons of friends." Aiden looked at him, a sad expression on his face. "You're just jealous. I've got all these people here at my Christmas party, and who have you got?" "I know the value of what I have," Aiden said. "I'm going to go find Liddy and enjoy my night." "You do that," Jerry said, and he disappeared into the crowd. Aiden looked around, distressed that he couldn't feel Liddy's presence anywhere in the room. He had no feeling for her location and had to search for her. Once he worked his way into the crowd, he could only see a small portion of the people in it, and Liddy was nowhere to be found. He reached the edge of the wrestling ring, and when he looked up, his eyes met hers. She was lying on the floor of the ring, a vacant stare on her face as if she was bored. Aiden reached up and touched her cheek, and she instantly sprang up. "Shit!" she said, coming to her feet. She was shocked by her ability to speak. Fedra saw Aiden and took a few steps forward. "Why are you up there?" Aiden asked, still unsure about the situation. He climbed into the ring and looked Liddy up and down. "Why are you dressed like that?" He saw Fedra, unaware of who she was, and pointed at her. "Stay away from her," he said sternly, gripping Liddy's hand. "Leave her alone." Fedra held her hands up and backed away. Aiden helped Liddy out of the ring and into the elevator. He made a sweeping motion with his hand, and she was back in her regular clothes. She wobbled a little, and he helped steady her. "I feel sick," she said. "What happened?" "You don't remember?" "I have no idea. The last thing I remember is getting off this elevator. Did we actually go in? And why does my back hurt?" Aiden ran his hand palm flat down her back. He clenched his teeth and then forced himself to calm down. "Someone hit you." "Hit me? With what, a baseball bat? It hurts like hell." He ran his hand down her back again. "Is that better?" She wriggled slightly. "It's totally gone. The pain. Wow. Thank you. Are you steady now? Keep holding me. Do you still feel wobbly?" "No." The elevator was approaching the ground floor. Without a word, Liddy turned to Aiden and hugged him tightly. He was surprised, but he instantly hugged her right back. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered, and she started to cry. He looked up at the lights and blinked a few times. "I know," he said, stroking her hair. The elevator glided to a stop, but the doors didn't open. Liddy glanced at the floor display and saw that it flashed 3, then 4, then 3, back and forth. She let go of Aiden and wiped her eyes. "We're stuck," she said. "Perfect." "I did that," Aiden said, and he turned her body to face him, keeping his hands on her shoulders. "I understand what you're saying, and I agree. You shouldn't have to live like this. It's my fault. Everything. It's all gone wrong, and it's my fault." "What did you do? I still don't understand any of this." "I know. And one day I'll be able to explain everything to you. But I have to work some things out first. But Liddy, trust me. I'm going to make sure that nobody hurts you ever again. Ever." She grabbed him and hugged him again. "I'll keep you safe," Aiden said. "I promise." "Keep us both safe," she said. "The world's kicking both of our asses right now." The elevator started moving again, and they made it to the ground floor. Aiden put his arm around Liddy's shoulder, and they walked out into the lobby. "It's going to be all right," he said, looking at her. "I'll make sure of it. Do you trust me?" "I do." He nodded, and they headed for the door. "I'm just scared is all," she said quietly. He squeezed her shoulder. They walked out of the building, and Aiden went to the right. Liddy stopped. "Don't we go over there to get the car?" she asked, pointing to the valets. "We give them a ticket or something." "We don't need the car," Aiden said. "Where are we going?" "Come on." They crossed the street and stopped in front of open gates. Above the gates was a big sign that read "Winterfest" in twinkling lights. The skating rink was open, and a surprising number of people were out there on the ice. Aiden made a sweeping gesture. "After you, madam." "After me? Oh no, I'm not going in there." "Why not?" "I can't skate." "You've never tried. How do you know?" She started backing up. "I just do. And anyway, I thought we were going somewhere super special after we left Jerry's place." He looked at her and smiled. "You mean this? This is where you wanted to take me?" "Yep," he said, with a pop of the letter P at the end of the word. "Indeedy do." "Well, what for? I told you I can't skate. And I told you you've never tried." She stepped closer and lowered her voice. "I don't want all these people to see me fall on my ass." Aiden turned and looked at the skaters as if he was noticing them for the first time. "Are you concerned about those people?" "Kinda, yeah. The skaters and all the people sitting over there in the bleachers." "Huh." One by one, the skaters started leaving the ice. People sitting in the bleachers started packing up their blankets and thermoses of hot chocolate and leaving the area. The skaters who had rented them returned the rented skates, gathered up their belongings, and left too. Finally, the people manning the ticket booth, skate rental, and snack stand closed up and left. "Must be closing time," Liddy said as they watched the people filing out. "What a shame. Guess we better get on out of here." Aiden checked the time on the Lincoln Financial Group building clock. "No," he said. "It just so happens that everybody suddenly realized they had somewhere else to be." "Because it's Christmas Eve?" "Sure," Aiden said with a smile. "That's probably it." The area became eerily quiet. "Maybe we should go," Liddy said. "It feels weird being here." "Why'd they leave the gate open?" "They're not closed." Aiden walked over a few steps and then closed the gates behind them. "Not for us, anyway." "Don't make me do this," Liddy said. "I'll embarrass myself. I don't want you to see that." "I saw you at 19 when they put you under to take your tonsils out. Let's just say that nothing you do here will match what you said that day." "What did I say?" He took her hand. "Come on, we'll get our skates." "No, seriously, what did I say? Did Grandma hear it?" He laughed. "No, just a nurse, a doctor, and me. Don't worry about it. They didn't know what you were talking about anyway." Liddy muttered something under her breath, but she followed Aiden to the skate rental booth. "Oh, look," Aiden said. "Somebody left some skates right here on the counter for us." He picked up one pair and examined them, and then the other pair. "These are perfect." You wear a size 9, don't you? Yeah, they look a little small, though. He handed them to her with a grin. They'll fit. I like the silver trim up here around the top. Let's see yours. Aiden held his skates up. I like those too. They were dark red and black. They sat side by side on the bleachers and put their skates on. Liddy sat there looking down at her feet. The blades sat firmly on the ground, and she moved her ankles side to side. Aiden glanced over at her as he was tying up the laces on his left skate. How do they feel? He asked. They're really stiff. Are they supposed to be like that? Yes, it's normal. Once you get out there, you won't even notice it anymore. I don't imagine I will. I'll be too busy trying to figure out how to get back up after I fall. Aiden stood up and held out his hand. Come with me. Liddy took his hand and rose slowly to her feet. It's wild how stable I feel standing on metal blades. And look how tall we are now. They both looked down at the ground, then back up. Liddy grabbed both of Aiden's hands and braced herself. I feel so high up. I hate heights. You're only a few inches taller in the skates. Once you get out there, I know, she said. I won't even notice it. Just relax. I want you to have a good time. It's just you and me for tonight. Fedra was watching from Jerry's apartment. Her fingertips pressed against the glass. Four and Jerry approached her together. Hey, can you get back up there? Jerry asked. Everybody wants to see you do that ghost thing again. Shut up, she said. Leave me alone. What are you looking at? Four asked her. She didn't take her eyes off Aiden and Liddy. Go away, both of you. Go get some more guys up in the ring. But what are you looking at? Four insisted. Fedra turned around slowly to face them. Don't make me say it again. They backed away immediately and left without saying another word. She turned her attention back to the window. Chapter 104. When Aiden said he wanted to take me someplace special, I thought he meant taking me somewhere that involved plane tickets and suntan lotion, or at least a place with a carousel. I pictured a carousel being part of it for some reason. No, we ended up at Winterfest. I'd seen ads for it on TV every year around that time, but I never had any interest in going. They'd always show a bunch of happy people skating around and around like it was nothing, and my inability to skate caused me to have this ridiculous, irrational hatred for those people. It's just one of those random, fleeting feelings that you have sometimes. I'm sure the people in those commercials are perfectly lovely. That's where he wanted to go, and it seemed to make him really happy to be there with me for some reason. I was still shaken up and disoriented from whatever went on at Jerry's apartment. To this day, I still have no memory of anything that happened between the time we got off the elevator and got back on. All I knew was that I was dizzy and my back hurt before Aiden fixed it. Everything that had happened, it was all too much, and with the way I felt in that elevator when we were leaving, I knew I couldn't handle any more. What I didn't say was that I was having trouble with my feelings for Aiden, and that was making things even harder to deal with. I felt the desire to do one of two things. Either run away with him, where to though, or stay as far away from him as possible for the rest of my life. What I'm saying is, I didn't want to be just his friend, but I also knew that anything beyond a friendship with him was impossible. My life needed to get back to normal, and I was coming close to believing that never seeing him again was the only way to get there. I wasn't going to get into all that on Christmas Eve night, though. Nobody likes a Debbie Downer. He magically made everybody leave, and then we each had a pair of skates waiting for us there at the booth. That's a good thing, because all the booth people left too. It was just the two of us. We walked up to the edge of the skating rink, and I looked out at the ice. Aiden skated out on it. Come on, he said. Just try it. I gripped the side wall and put one skate on the ice and then pulled it back. I'll break my neck. Stuff like this didn't scare me so much when I was younger, but now I'm old and brittle. He skated back over and stepped off the ice. You're not old and you're not brittle. How do you know what will happen if you won't take a chance? I don't like to take chances. It's safer over here on the ground. The problem with staying on the ground, he said, putting his hands on my waist, is that you never learn to fly. What happened next still blows my mind when I think about it. I understand how he did it, but the way it felt. He grabbed my waist tighter and lifted me into the air like I was weightless, and he turned and, well, he sort of tossed me out over the ice. I landed on one leg, and my other leg swung out, and I glided in a half circle like I've been doing it all my life. I let out an awful shriek after he tossed me, and I was fully expecting to die, but I didn't. I stayed up. I was skating. Aiden stood there at the sidewall watching. I came back around and looked at him in total disbelief, my mouth hanging open. He was smiling ear to ear. "See," he said, "that's not so bad, is it?" I kept going in figure eights, and after watching me a little longer, he came out and joined me. "This is so easy," I said. "It's like nothing, like breathing. How am I doing this?" "You might have had a little help." "Oh, yeah? Maybe I could skate all along and just didn't know it." He moved away from me a bit as we glided along. Let's see. I felt something change. It was in my arms and then my legs. I went down almost immediately. Aiden busted out laughing like I've never heard him laugh before, but he did come over and help me up. "Oh, hush," I said, trying not to smile. "So maybe I can't skate without a little help. So what?" "You're right. I'm sorry. I'm just so happy to be out here with you. Are you okay?" I brushed off the knees of my jeans and rubbed my hands together. "Yeah, I'm okay." "Are you comfortable skating in those clothes?" "I hardly want to be out here naked." "No, I mean, would you like to have something more comfortable to wear?" I skated out to the center of the ice and did a twirl. It's like I couldn't fall if I wanted to. "Hey, can I try one of those jump and spin things like they do in the Olympics?" "Try it." "I'm scared." "Don't be. You could literally close your eyes and make any move you want out here." I looked down at my sweater and jeans. Something a little more, stretchy would be better for skating, but I don't feel like changing clothes. "Understood. How's that?" I felt a slight gust of cool air, and I looked down to see I was wearing a flowy, gauzy white dress and pearly white tights and the same skates. "That's fantastic. How do I look?" "Beautiful." "Should I try the jump and spin thing now?" "You should close your eyes when you do it." The rink was a large oval shape. I skated to the far end and shook my head. No way in hell am I doing that. All my fear was gone. I took a deep breath, let it out, and started skating toward the other end of the rink as fast as I could. It felt like my legs just knew what to do. My whole body was on autopilot. I imagine it's probably how Jerry felt when he painted his pictures. I jumped and I did 2 full turns in the air before I came back down. The landing was perfect and I gracefully glided on around the rink. "Oh my God," I said. I don't know what else to say. Wow! I moved toward the center of the ice and Aiden joined me. He asked me if I would like to dance. "Dance," I said, "on skates?" "Just follow my lead." I heard the strumming of a guitar from above our heads. I looked up at the string of lights. "There's music," I said. "To really love a woman, to understand her, you gotta know her deep inside." We started moving across the ice in unison, first backwards and then turning. It felt like we were gliding above the surface, like we could lift off from Earth and fly away. Hear every thought, see every dream, and give her wings when she wants to fly. I forgot about everything else. Any fear or apprehension I'd had before we got out there was gone. He took my hand, and we moved together that night as one body, one spirit. I closed my eyes and felt pure joy. And when you find yourself lying helpless in her arms, you know you really love a woman. We danced through the whole song and came back to the center of the ice at the end. Aiden held up my hand and kissed it gently. Thank you so much, he said. That's the best Christmas present I could have ever hoped for. Just a dance? Just everything. Thank you for humoring me. I really enjoyed it. He looked up at the lights. This reminds me of my favorite place. The place you went to when you took a break. It's so beautiful. I wish I could take you there. What's it called? In English, it's Galiate. Galiate? He moved in a little closer. Could you say that again? Again? Did I say it wrong? No, it was perfect. Okay. Galiate. He touched my face. Thank you. I didn't do anything. Thank you anyway. I never thought about it, but English isn't... You probably have to be able to speak every language. Do angels have their own language? Yes, we do. I wonder what that sounds like. Is it something humans can hear? You could hear it. He smiled. Would you like to? I am curious about it. What would you like me to say? You can say anything. I wouldn't know what you were saying anyway. Aiden looked up at the lights again. I think he was trying to decide what to say. Then he looked back at me, and he placed his right hand on the back of my neck. Come closer, he said, and he put his lips to my ear. I can't describe the language in a way that does it justice. Aiden's voice was soft. I could feel the slight pressure of his hand touching the back of my neck, and the sound of his language was more like music than speech. Not music like we hear on earth, but music is the closest thing to it that I can compare it to. It flowed and melted into my ear and made me weak in the knees. If it had melted the ice beneath my feet, I wouldn't have been surprised. It was a melody shared between the two of us. It was pure love. The song of his voice faded away. He removed his hand from the back of my neck and moved back a little. How was that? He asked. I feel weak, I said. It was so beautiful. I've never heard anything like it in my life. What were you saying? Does it matter? No, but I'd kind of like to know. He chuckled. If you knew, it would ruin the experience. You really seem to like it. Oh, now I have to know. Just tell me. All right. I was reading off the items on the grocery list you keep in your kitchen. No way! I must need some beautiful sounding stuff from the store. Thank you again for doing this. Can we do it again sometime? We probably shouldn't. I wish we could, but we need to get going soon. I'd like to give you your Christmas present before we go. You've already done more than enough. Oh no, that was all for me. This is for you. He pulled a small silver box out of his jacket pocket and held it delicately, balanced on the palms of both of his hands. This isn't something I'd ever expect you to wear all the time, he said, but I'd love it if you'd wear it while we had one last dance tonight. He opened the box and let me look inside. I gasped. What am I looking at? I asked, gently touching what I thought were rhinestones. It's so sparkly. They look so real. They are, he said, but they're not what they appear to be. He lifted the item out of the box and placed the box back in his jacket pocket. It looked like two long strands of rhinestones with a loop joining them together. This is a bracelet, he said, and he slid it onto my left wrist. The long strands hung down, but I noticed that they didn't hang straight down like you might expect them to. They seemed to sway and dance in little ripples and vibrations. If I moved my arm, the strands fluttered and flowed along with it like ribbons in a breeze. I couldn't take my eyes off them. What's this bracelet made of? I asked without looking up. They were made from very special stones from another place and given to us as a gift. We meaning angels. Right. All of the angels or just ones like you? Only certain angels. Ones who made a choice. What choice? I can't get into that, but this bracelet is for you. I held my wrist up and stared at the sparkly strands. Thank you. I love it. I heard music again, piano and violin. That's Silent Night, I said. Aiden bowed and took my hand. May I have this dance? Of course. A snowflake landed on my cheek and then another one on my arm. I looked up. Oh, wow! Look at that! He looked up and laughed a little. Well, my goodness. We danced on the ice, again moving together like we'd danced this way 1,000 times before. I feel like there's never been something I couldn't do, I said. Does that sound crazy? Not at all, he said. It was such a beautiful, wonderful night. I didn't want it to end. We couldn't stay after our dance, though, and Aiden took me home. He stood at my front door with me. Do you want to change back into your regular clothes? He asked. No, I like the dress. Your other clothes are clean, folded, and in your closet. Thank you. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. He remained on the steps. You can come in if you want to, I said. I'm afraid I have to go. But Liddy, thank you again for tonight. This is the best Christmas Eve I've ever had. Me too. Thank you for making it so special. He left so I could unwind and get some sleep. I wasn't sure what the plan was for Christmas Day. We hadn't really discussed it. I figured I'd go hang out with Grandpa more than likely. He liked the company. I wandered into the kitchen to get something to drink, and I stood there with my can of Diet Coke, trying to decide if I wanted a snack or not. My grocery list, stuck to the side of the refrigerator by a magnet, caught my eye. I reached for it. Let's see what makes such pretty music, I said. I bet... The notepad stopped me cold when I saw it. It was blank. Chapter 105. Jerry and Four got 2 more homeless guys up in the ring as Fedra had instructed. They were dressed in 19th century clothes. One had the coal scuttle, and the other was given Tiny Tim's cane. They started battling with their weapons while the crowd watched. Fedra ignored the crowd's shouts and cheers and continued to focus on the scene unfolding down on the skating rink. She could see and hear everything. She mostly dismissed everything until she heard Aiden speaking to Liddy in his native language. Suddenly filled with rage, she pressed her fingertips against the exterior glass wall of Jerry's apartment, melting 10 little dents into it. She glared at the 2 of them with a piercing stare. At the sight of the little box and the bracelet inside, she screamed out in pure anger. The room suddenly fell quiet. The wrestlers stopped pummeling each other. Everyone looked over in the direction of the unholy noise. All they saw was Fedra's back. She was shaking with rage. Jerry ran over to her and tried to put his arms around her, but she was too hot to touch. He reflexively backed away from her like he'd touched a hot stove. Fedra slowly turned around and looked at the people in the room. One by one, they retrieved their coats, keys, and other belongings and headed to the elevator. Not one of them spoke. Jerry tried to talk to them as they were leaving, begging them to stay, but within 10 minutes, only Jerry and Fedra were left. What the hell just happened? Jerry asked, more annoyed than concerned. We were all having a good night. And why are you so damn hot to the touch? You got a fever or something? Everyone had somewhere to be, she said. Jerry, we need to talk. Now. They went into the kitchen and cleared away enough stuff to sit on a couple of stools. Jerry grabbed an unopened beer sitting nearby, opened it, and took a drink. He scratched his lower back and stifled a burp. What's up? He asked. Aiden's leaving. So, what do I care? She grabbed his forearms. He was relieved to discover that her skin had cooled down quite a bit. He's leaving, she said. Leaving for good. And he won't be going alone. Is Liddy going with him? Damn it, Jerry. No, he's taking you. Jerry set his beer down, stood up, and walked away. He came back with his hands on either side of his head, fingers laced in the back. He's not. He can't do that now. It's too early. Too early? There's no time set for these arrangements, Jerry. You know that. He explained it to you. No, I mean, not... There hasn't been enough time for me to enjoy everything. He can't. I just won't go. I'll refuse to go. He's not going to ask for your permission to take you, Fedra said. But what about you saving me? You said there was a way you could stop him from doing anything to me. I can, but you'll have to help me. How? We have to lure him in. Get the two of them, Aiden and Liddy, nearby, but separate. Is that all? Shit, you could have done that earlier this evening. Remember? When Aiden was talking to me back in the bedroom and you had Liddy out here in the living room? I had no idea at that time that he was planning to leave. Jerry walked away from the kitchen and glanced outside. Hey, is that snow? Is it snowing? Yeah. That's pretty cool. And on Christmas Eve, too. Fedra rolled her eyes. Silly things that impress humans. Huh? Nothing. Are you willing to help me? If it'll keep me out of hell, absolutely. I need a little time to work this out. But you're acting like we don't have any time. We don't have much. I'd like you to reach out to Aiden. Apologize to him for any hard feelings or misunderstandings. Mend some fences. Apologize for what? He's the asshole, not me. Maybe so, but we need to keep him happy, at least for the time being. Do I have to talk to him? We need to keep Aiden and Liddy close by. We need them in a situation where we can separate them without them being aware that we're doing it. I'll work out a few details on my end while you make nice, and when he least expects it, boom. Boom what, though? Are you going to kill him or something? I can't kill him, Fedra said, but I can make damn sure he regrets ever coming here. And we're going to stop there at the end of chapter 105. If you're interested to know, we are up to page 459. There will be other parts of this story that get me a little upset, a little teary-eyed. It will get worse as we go. There are some parts of this story that when I'm reading it to you, I'm watching the movie in my head. I'm watching it, hearing it, and seeing it, and sometimes it gets to me a little. I can't help it. It gets worse. There are some parts that are worse. But that's all we're going to read today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. And we'll come back to chapter 106 and start again. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you again soon.